Well, it looks like the federal government can't decide what it thinks about Mar-a-Lago and its previous raid on the complex. Well, now AOL reports that there's a bitter personal battle between the FBI and DOJ officials over this exact topic. We're unpacking this and so much more here on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by Lean, the only weight loss supplement for serious dieters who want to lose 10 pounds or more. Pick up a bottle at leanvnn.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Well, we all know the infamous raid on the Mar-a-Lago complex, the home of the previous president, Donald Trump, was something of legal questioning. People couldn't understand why it happened or how it was even approved. Well, it appears the DOJ has a battle over this. As AOL reports, there is a battle between FBI and DOJ officials. Let's talk about this. On August 1st, 2022, senior Justice Department and FBI officials gathered on the 7th floor of the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. for a historic meeting. They exchanged pleasantries, shook hands, and took seats in 7427, the FBI General Counsel's conference room, a nondescript gathering place with a long rectangular table surrounded by no-frill office chairs. Now, each wore a suit, mandatory attire on the storied floor that houses the office of the FBI director and his top advisors. The senior DOJ officials had left their headquarters, an elegant mix of classical and Art Deco architecture, and met their bureau colleagues across Pennsylvania Avenue in FBI headquarters, a brutalist structure considered one of the ugliest buildings in Washington. Their goal was to have the one participant later called Come to Jesus meeting. For months, prosecutors from the DOJ's National Security Division and the leaders of the FBI's Washington field office had disagreed over an ongoing criminal probe. Tension and debate between prosecutors and agents during an investigation are routine and often welcomed. But this case had taken an extraordinary level of intensity, pressure, and acrimony due to the potential defendant, former President Donald Trump. Now, career officials from FBI Washington field office eventually took an unusual step. They privately questioned a career DOJ prosecutor's political donations to Democrats and what they saw as his aggressive stance towards Trump. In both the FBI and DOJ, career officials, unlike political appointees, are expected to act in a strictly nonpartisan manner. But the hyperpartisanship of contemporary American politics has seeped into the Mar-a-Lago investigation and threatened to slow it. The stakes were high for all of those in the room, potentially career-ending, and for the country. The DOJ and FBI officials were deadlocked over how to retrieve what were believed to be dozens of top-secret documents that Trump had taken from the White House to Mar-a-Lago and declined to return. We're now very familiar with this attempt. As you know, some of the pictures they provided appeared to even be doctored. I'm talking about being photoshopped. So the evidence was already, scantily clad. I mean, they didn't have it. It wasn't on the books. The burden of evidence wasn't true. Now, there were no good options. The DOJ and FBI officials shared the same feeling about the case, that was dread, and they should have. After the National Archives repeatedly requested that Trump return the documents, some officials assumed that Trump would simply hand over the materials. When he didn't, all of them saw no good options. You know what the reaction was in the department? Recall the former FBI official involved in the case who asked not to be named? We were like, oh shit, we don't want any part of this. The real enemies are Russia and China. Now, Stephen Antuono, then the head of Bureau's Washington field office and who has since retired, feared that the documents dispute would further erode public faith in the FBI. I was worried about it increasing distrust in us, he told NBC News in his first on-the-record media interview about the Mar-a-Lago dispute, which was first reported by the Washington Post. Now, inside the FBI, bipartisan criticism of its Hillary Clinton email investigation, Trump's firing of James Comey, and special counsel John Durham's probe of the FBI Trump-Russia investigation had taken a toll. We all thought that this posed a risk of us both professionally and personally, the former senior FBI official said. I can't impress upon you the pressure. He added, we're trying to make the best decisions we can with all the emotions swirling. The intense pressure also fueled distrust. Several FBI agents in the Washington field office were concerned about the aggressive tactics and political donations of Jay Barrett, the Justice Department prosecutors. According to public records, Bratt, who now works for special counsel Jack Smith, had donated $600 to a former DOJ colleague's unsuccessful Democratic primary campaign for the U.S. Senate in Oregon in 2007, $150 to the Oregon Senate Democratic Campaign Committee that same year, and a total of $500 to the Democrat National Committee in 1993 and 1994. Now, Bratt, through the Justice Department's press office, declined an interview. DOJ officials flatly dismissed any claim that Brat was biased against the former president. They said that Brat pursued all cases aggressively, noting that he had a long history of investigating the handling of classified documents by Democrats, including Hillary Clinton. In the Trump case, they added, Brat had tried for months to seek a resolution with the former president that would not involve a search of Mar-a-Lago. Now, a senior DOJ official with knowledge of Brat's work said in an interview that he had never seen him show political bias. It would be hard for me to overstate how much I disagree with the characterization, said the official who asked not to be named. He is one of the finest career prosecutors I've ever worked with. I've never seen a hint of bias. Now, Antuonos, though, was concerned about the approach of the DOJ team investigation, which Brat led. Jay was being a little overly aggressive, he recalled, the aggressiveness that was there from day one. He also said that Brat's behavior may have been fueled by the extraordinarily high-profile nature of the case. Now, this is a huge case. It's the former president, he said. Was some of this due to ambition? Jay, as an attorney for a long time, this is the case of the century. In a less decisive era in American politics, personal political donations might have drawn less attention. It was generally accepted that career DOJ and FBI officials could put their personal political politics aside and investigate any elected official, Republican or Democrat, in a fair and fact-based manner. But 50 years after Watergate, American politics, culture, and news coverage had changed. Partisanship had steadily risen and been rewarded in Washington. Some politicians had grown tired of independence of the DOJ and suspicions of career public servants. And the internet had created a powerful new way for politicians to circumvent the press and express their own unfiltered views directly to the public. Trump had deftly taken advantage of all of these dynamics and been elected to the country's highest office. Now, in the Trump era, bias was assumed, encouraged, and expected by many. Nonpartisan public service was increasingly dismissed as naive, and now division and distrust threatened to delay the Mar-a-Lago investigation. So what we see here is the FBI is essentially saying, look, they didn't want to take the case. Now, I can't verify if this is true or not, but I can tell you they didn't want the case according to the former director of the field office responsible for taking on this case. But the DOJ seemed to not only be happy about this, but the attorney in charge was aggressive. He was happy to take the case above all else. Now, as many of you know, that Americans are sick and tired of being lied to, even sick and tired of being poisoned. That's why many Americans are looking to a new miracle drug that's being prescribed by doctors. They inject it. Yeah, it requires needles. It works miracles. It literally helps you lose weight quickly by regulating your blood sugar and limiting your hunger. Now, the only problem with this drug is it's expensive, requires needles, which many don't like, and has terrible side effects. Luckily, the doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition formulated an alternative, something that has the same mechanisms of influence on the body, will help you lose 10 pounds or more quickly, but doesn't require needles and is easy to take. It's a new weight loss supplement called Lean. You can pick up a bottle today at leanvnn.com. That's LEANVNN.com. What this does is it helps regulate your blood sugar and your appetite so that you lose weight quick. But I want to remind you, it's only for serious dieters. When you use my promo code VNN at checkout, you get 15% off plus free rush shipping direct to your door. So don't wait. Pick up a bottle or two today and start losing the weight that you desire at leanvnn.com, promo code VNN for 15% off plus free rush shipping. That's LEANVNN.com. Now, as I mentioned, as we talk about this, there's a history here of idealism and abuse. The relationship between the DOJ and the FBI, the country's two most powerful federal law enforcement agencies, had ebbed and flowed in their century-long joint existence. Located a few blocks from the White House, the Justice Department, led by the Attorney General, oversees the FBI. Now, the department's mission is to apply the law equally without fear or favor to all Americans. But that has not always been true. During the Cold War, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover had repeatedly bypassed the Attorney General and unilaterally conducted law enforcement operations designed to infiltrate, disrupt, and discredit political leaders and organizations that Hoover deemed subversive. Hoover's perceived enemies range from Martin Luther King Jr., who the FBI director viewed as a communist, to the right-wing John Birch Society. Hoover also secretly provided the 8 presidents he served for Republicans and for Democrats with dirt on their political rivals. Justice Department officials committed abuses as well. In the early 1970s, John Mitchell, Richard Nixon's Attorney General, used the Justice Department to target Nixon's perceived political enemies, from opponents of the Vietnam War to black nationalist groups to officials suspected of leaking political damaging information about the president. After the Watergate scandal, sweeping reforms were enacted in the late 1970s to prevent presidents, attorney generals, and the FBI directors from using the DOJ and FBI for improper political or personal gain. Those reforms also reinforce the dual and contradictory duties of the Attorney General and the FBI Director. Both leaders were expected to enact the broad policies of the presidents, such as cracking down on crime or strictly enforcing environmental laws. At the same time, they were expected to investigate in a fair, nonpartisan manner. However, hyperpartisanship, as the disagreement between DOJ and FBI officials over Mar-a-Lago was a microcosm of the hyperpartisanship and conspiracy theories undermining public trust, it also fueled divisions between and within the organizations. You can read more about the story there. But obviously, we don't believe that there's no hyperpartisanship amongst these organizations. We've seen it every day. We watch the raids and the targeting of right-wingers while the left continues to evade scrutiny, even prosecution for overt and blatant crimes. Now, if you want to give me your feedback, I'd love to hear it by dropping a comment and like the video down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to get more like it direct to your inbox at vigilantnews.com. You can also sign up and join for free our social media sites, X and Rumble, at Vigilant News. Thank you for watching Beyond the Headlines. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.